Well, according to my watch, we have 6 o'clock. And I'll call the May 4th, 2026 meeting of the Cheyenne City Planning Commission to order. First item of business, approval of agenda and minutes. Is there a modification to our agenda?
Mr. Chair, we still need to do roll call.
Oh, yes, that's right. Roll call first. Staff, please call roll.
Bob Mathia.
Here.
Justin Tripp.
Here.
Daryl Hibbins.
Here.
Megan Connor.
Present remotely.
Tony Laird.
Here.
Amy Hernandez.
Present via Zoom.
Boyd Wiggum.
Present.
Mr. Chair, we do have a quorum. And real quick, we do have a new planning commission member. So welcome to Justin. He is replacing Lonnie.
Okay, thank you. Approval of minutes.
I move to approve.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second on the table. Is there any comment or revision requested from the commission? Hearing none. All in favor of approving the minutes for the April 6th, 2026 Planning Commission meeting, please say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Disclosures, any ex parte communications, conflicts of interest on any items by members of the commission? Hearing none. Will staff please read item A into the record?
Item A, PLTA-26-1, special use approvals, creation of the regulation or regional entertainment overlay and development standards for off-track betting facilities text amendment.
Okay, can we please have a staff report?
Chair, members of the Planning Commission, Charles Bloom, Planning and Development Director. We are requesting postponement to the mid-month meeting, which will be May 18th. At that time, we will have two text amendments that we will be considering. One of those being the historic horse racing amendments, as well as carports. Traditionally, the mid-month meeting is usually reserved for staff-initiated actions, ones that are initiated by the Metropolitan Planning Organization, as well as long-range planning items. So it really will fall directly into place during that meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions for the commission? Can I have a motion?
I move to approve or to postpone this item to the May 18th, 2026 meeting.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion by the commission? Will staff please call roll?
Tony Laird.
Aye.
Amy Hernandez.
Aye.
Megan Connor.
Aye.
Daryl Hibbins.
Aye.
Bob Mathia.
Aye.
Justin Tripp.
Aye.
Mr. Chair, that motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Staff, please read item B into the record.
Item B, PUDC-26-29/30, Cheyenne Business Park and Campstool Business Park zoning map amendment.
Okay. Can I please have, I guess it's going to be the staff report as the applicant?
Yes, Mr. Chair, members of the commission, Connor White, Planning and Development Department. So this is a staff-initiated zoning map amendment. Haven't had one of these come before you. This is one of the first ones that we are doing in a while, I guess. Actually, now thinking back, there was one that we have done before, but this is a larger kind of scale one. So this is looking at Camp Stool and Cheyenne Business Park over on the east side of town along I-80. Currently, most of the area is either zoned LI, HI, or community business. In the area that we're looking at, changing to business park. And then on the future land use map, most of the area is either industrial or mixed use employment. There is a P public zone in there that is the city's, I believe it's the city water treatment plant out there. But that would be the only one that's public, that's within this on the future land use map. So what we're looking at is, now that we've got the business park zone, we have been looking at trying to get these business parks into that zone district. Business park zone district was created to be basically a combination of the HILI and CB zone with some modifications to it. There is different setbacks, a couple different uses, does allow for more uses in some cases, but then also kind of prohibits other uses that were allowed in the HI. With this area, we've had several property owners who wanted to zone to business park. They weren't able to zone to business park on their own. Reason for that is the business park zone does require 320 acres to go to that zone district. Also, you have to basically, so you're not just creating spot zones, you kind of have that contiguity where that zone district kind of meshed and moved and touched each other. So with the property owners that wanted to go to BP, you didn't have all those kind of the connections or the acreage. So Leeds did ask staff if we could look into maybe doing a city initiated rezoning. When we looked at the area, we did take what is the Cheyenne Business Park, took all the properties within that and added it to this rezoning. And then we also looked at Camp Stool Business Park, because that is also a business park. And we've actually had several lots within Camp Stool that have actually come before the commission where they've gone from LI to CB and then maybe CB back to LI or HI to LI, or just kind of moving back and forth between zone districts. So with the BP zone, it does give more flexibility, allows more uses, and then kind of allows this to develop more as the business park that our zone district kind of looks at. With this, we did mail notice to all property owners, so they did receive mail notice. I have had several property owners that have called and asked questions, kind of just asking what the difference is, what this means for their property, what it means for their uses. I will have on the last slide, there is a modification that we will propose, because in front of you, you should all have a letter. There was one property owner that did want to be removed from the zone change. Staff has no issue with removing them from the zone change. If they don't want to be in it, it will leave them as HI. They are on the far east side. Be kind of hard to point out exactly where, but it's the old Blue Cross RV kind of next to Camping World over there. They'd like to be left in HI. Again, staff has no issue with that. If any property owner wanted to be removed, we would probably ask planning commission or council to remove them before this got approved. As long as we aren't creating kind of pockets of BP moving forward, which this does not. And then if anybody who did get removed wants to be in the BP later, they can come back in and request it. Anybody who gets zoned to BP, if they want to be out of it, they can always come back and request to be out of it. So with this area, it's already built as industrial. It's already a business park. That's why the business park zone district was created. Staff does recommend approval of this with that one modification to remove those lots from this rezoning. And I do stand for any questions.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for staff from the commission? Commissioner Laird?
Chair, through you, Connor, do you know why this particular parcel owner would rather stay heavy industrial? Is there some use they have in mind that's not allowed in the business park?
Mr. Chair, through you, yes. So my understanding is they are looking to potentially sell the property. They feel that with the HI zone, they might have better opportunities because it does allow for outdoor storage. The BP prohibits full outdoor storage. It does allow for limited, so 50% of your lot to have outdoor storage. Anybody who has currently existing outdoor storage in right now on their property in use, they do get grandfathered in. They can't expand it with conditional use and things like that. But if somebody was to do a change of use from a property that has no outdoor storage or isn't defined as full 100% outdoor storage, they would be prohibited from doing so. Basically, with this property, that's kind of their preference. They'd like to stay in the HI because they believe that they might have better value and able to sell to somebody looking to do outdoor storage there. So that's why they've requested it. Again, staff has no issue with the request. This was staff initiated. So with a business park area like this, HI still fits the area. Staff feels that BP would be better for it because, again, as I mentioned, with all the switches back and forth for multiple different properties. But yeah, if somebody wanted to stick with the zoning they had, then we would just request that they be removed.
Any further questions of staff from commissioners?
I have one, Chairman,
Mi-
through you.
Mr. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I'm gonna yield to Zoom land first.
Oh, thank you,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman. This is Megan online. I'm just curious if some of these parcel owners band together and sell, if they're trying to put, I don't know, they're putting all these data centers everywhere, which is a really big concern, actually. What happens to the other property owners? That can just happen without them having any say under this business park zoning. Is that correct, Connor?
Mr. Chair, through you. So data centers are already allowed in the LIHI zone districts. So this doesn't change the allowed use for data centers. So if somebody wanted, I mean, there's already data centers in this business park in this area that are already developing. So the BP zone does not change the fact that they could already do that.
But because of the way it's kind of, I'm just looking at a map, the way it's kind of got different zonings in there right now, it probably would require at least some more notice and going through a public process to do that. Would you think? Is that fair?
Mr. Chair, through you, not necessarily. If you take several of the HI parcels and they wanted to combine them into one, that'd be an administrative plat and then an administrative site plan. Again, the zone districts in this area already allow for data centers as a use by right.
Any further questions? I believe Commissioner Tripp.
Yes, thank you. Through you, Chairman. Connor, you mentioned that some of the business owners who want this had a lot of reasons. What are some of the reasons they want this to happen?
So, Mr. Chair, through you, again, the flexibility of the zone district to allow uses. Also, it does have a reduction in setbacks from what the HI would have. It does have a reduced landscaping requirements. Those are probably the biggest reasons that we've heard. Setback wise, in the HI, I believe it is 40-foot setbacks from all property lines. The BP does reduce that down to, I believe, 25 on your front, maybe 25 in the rear. I'm going off of what I'm remembering with the BP. I know internal setbacks are about 10 or something along those lines. If it's next to a different zone district than the BP, they're a little bit bigger. So most of it, from what I'm hearing, though, I think it comes down to flexibility, landscaping, and setbacks.
Thank you.
Any further questions of staff from commission? Okay, with that, I'll open this up for public hearing. Are there any members of the public present who wish to comment? please provide your name and address. Sir.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Dante Rush, and I am the Director of Real Estate and Property Management for Cheyenne Leads. Address 121 West 15th Street, Suite 304. I just wanted to approach the podium and show our support for this zoning map amendment to the BP zoning. We appreciate working with staff as they've put together a staff report and the recommendations. And what I've also have, if it's allowed to provide, is just a comparative analysis table showing the BP zoning to the different zoning districts already in Cheyenne Business Parkway, just to show the benefits of more allowed uses by right, reduced landscaping requirements, and then the different setback requirements that Mr. White had alluded to. So BP is a great economic tool that we can use to help speed projects to market by allowing more uses allowed by right. But that is the nature of my comments. I'm open for any questions.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public wish to comment on this item? Is there anybody in Zoom land?
And for those on Zoom, you will need to use the raise hand feature tonight if you do have any comments on any items.
Nothing from Zoom? Public comment going once, going twice. Public comment is closed. I'm looking for a motion from commission.
I move to recommend the governing body approve the rezoning of Cheyenne Business Park and Campstool Business Park to BP Business Park as shown in the attached zone change map, noting that the project meets the review criteria for approval of the following modifications. 1, removal of lots 1 and 2, block 1, Campstool RV addition, and 2, removal of lots 3 and 4, block 3, Campstool addition, 4th filing.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion by the commission? Comments, concerns, proposed amendments? Hearing none, will staff please call roll?
Justin Tripp,
Yay.
Bob Mathia,
Aye.
Amy Hernandez,
Aye.
Daryl Hibbins,
Aye.
Megan Connor,
Aye.
Tony Laird.
Aye.
Mr. Chair, that motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Staff, please read item C into the record.
Item C, PUDC 26-50, Harmony Valley, 23rd filing, expedited plat.
Okay, do I have an applicant?
Good evening, John Sayers, agent for Trigger Land Development. Before we bring you tonight a 196 lot subdivision, you guys approved the zone change March 2nd on this. This was a continuation of the Harmony Valley 5th filing. What was discussed back in the zone change can even be further addressed at this time period. This is the exact similar product that we're building, getting ready to build, where we're doing attached garages and making single family homes. So that way the common walls between the garages and not the actual physical units where the living quarters are in this particular situation. With that, there is open space. We provided tonight a copy of the green and then how the open space works. The open space is what makes the block length slightly bigger in between a couple of the blocks, hence the reason why we went ahead and just asked for that and pushed that through. I know that there was some concern questions asking about how we were getting people in and around. You can see that we do have a trail network, but we also have the Greenway pathway running up Grand Harmony Boulevard from Center 1 or the apartment complex to the south. It runs all the way up to Allison. We are working with city engineering staff for a connection potentially over at Melody Loop only for pedestrian, but due to a 15% slope at that point, making ADA requirements might not be financially possible at this point. That would still give that adjacent subdivision access to go ahead and come around at Center One, or as they continue to keep doing, climbing over the hill anyways, potentially, and going up and trespassing on the land, as you can see from the trail marks of where they've been walking on the said land. With that said, we have been working with the school district recently in lowering and sloping the hill out, so that way it's a more manageable hill for them and for us. With that said, they have no direct access to the school off the south side completely. It is fenced off. Every bit of it is fenced off. So the access would be going up Grand Avenue or Grand Harmony Boulevard all the way to Allison, or they'll cut across until we have homes there up at the top side. Also, it's worth noting that York will be extended to Cribben. That is a 2028 program change to get that put on and get that completed. I believe I've addressed every questions. I'm happy to stand and answer any if you have any.
Are there any questions for the applicant from the commission? Commissioner Laird.
Chair, through you, this, you mentioned, the last thing you mentioned, the York being extended to Cribben. So is that a city street project they're proposed for 2028?
Mr. Chair, through you, yes, sir, that is completely their project at that point. They've been working with us and the school district for the plating capabilities to go ahead and remove some easements that are on South High School. We actually have rights to those easements. We're working on that, but it's contingent upon a BOQ issue, so I can't release those exactly at this moment, but we are working with staff to get that taken care of. So that way we still have access should we need to make a water connection. But the road is supposed to be extended, as you can see on the monitors, and that does take you up the hill and get you to that point. So we actually just completed this past week the storm inlets at the bottom of the hill at York and Carroll Land. So that way any water that does come down that hill gets collected at that point and goes down to our pond at the park, which we use the recycled water to water the fields and such.
Additional questions? Commissioner Tripp.
Chairman, through you, I'm not sure if you have the answer for this, but I'm curious. Water is a big resource up here and adding 196 lots up there. What is the water usage going to be and what effect is that going to have as we're in water restrictions and other things right now?
Mr. Chair, through you, BOQ probably can address this a little bit easier, but the water restrictions are not that situation for the residential areas. So we've been working with them since Harmony Valley first filing through the fifth filing and now all the way to what is the 23rd, and we have the 24th in already. So that'll be coming forward here shortly anyway. So that's about the amount of changes. Currently that subdivision is fed with 2 connections. BOQ is asking for a 3rd connection. That connection may come in over off of College and Parsley off of the other line, or as discussed slightly beforehand, with South High, there's a fire hydrant on the far east side of that we could tap into, but there is no water pressure drop over there. Actually, BOQ's water pressure in that area is better than South Cheyenne Water and Sewer District's water pressure, if that addresses your question.
Thank you.
Any other questions of the applicant? Are there any
Mr. Chairman,
questions?
this is Megan.
Yes, Commissioner
Mr.
Connor.
Chairman, I did have a question. I remember this one coming through. I just wanted to confirm that this, outside of York and Grand Harmony, this was not going to link with the other 2 subdivisions that were right there to the east and west. Is that correct?
Commissioner Connor, could you please restate your question? I'm getting quizzical looks from the applicant. I was trying to follow the question as well.
Okay. So they want 196 lots. I'm guessing the only exit out of this portion of the subdivision is Allison and Grand Harmony to College. They couldn't cut through the other 2 neighborhoods if people are trying to exit this subdivision.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, through
Yes.
you, if I can. To answer that question, no, there's actually 4 accesses to this subdivision. You do have the Allison connection, which is a collector. You have Grand Harmony to the southeast corner there. You'll notice that York along what would be the southwesterly side of the subdivision already exists, as the previous Harmony Valley fifth filing there is attached. So Danny Place goes from York all the way to Carol Ann as a relief, as does Carol Ann Way on the high side all the way to a Grand Harmony as well. Those roads, York actually dumps straight out onto College, or you can take Carol Ann down to Richard Martin and go out Elsie Jean Road. So no, we did connect to the existing Harmony Valley. The problem with the subdivision to the east is Melody Lane or Melody Loop. And again, there is no way to get 15% slope to get our road to connect to the existing road at that point.
Okay, and I was wondering about the same. I think you're next, or do you want?
Chair, members of the Planning Commission, Charles Bloom, Planning and Development Director. I just want to note that this is a final plat. So the purpose of a final plat is to review its compliance with the preliminary plat. Well, it is an expedited plat. All right, I'm going to go back a little bit. So in 2019, when we first considered this planned unit development and the related subdivision, there was a lot of discussion regarding access, and different agreements were made between the developer and the city, and the school district as well, because they have South High School immediately to the north. As part of this, the city had worked with the developer because we will be providing the extension of York Street to the north. That is presently in a little bit of a design right now. But this specific connection to Harmony Meadows, which is immediately to the east, that was specifically discussed in a lot of detail. As Mr. Sayers did note, there is a pretty significant elevation change between the end of that stub street and the subdivision that results in a grade that is very unfavorable for a street connection, because it almost doubles the allowable street percentage for a grade to go up. A lot of the reasons for that is because of a high voltage transmission line that runs along the eastern boundary of the subdivision, which made it very problematic to do any extensive grading that would remedy that. Unfortunately, that is a result of issues we had with previous platting, where those stubs were provided, unfortunately, in areas where they just couldn't be reasonably accommodated. So they're trying to make their best efforts at providing that pedestrian connection at this time, which hopefully they can figure out a way to do that within their price point. So I just want to note that as we do have several newer members that may not be aware of the history on this, really what we're looking at is comparing this to the planned unit development and the previous plats, even though this is significantly revised, to note that it still follows what was envisioned with that and what was previously approved.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I just had a comment on that, because I was there when we moved this lot out of the PUD. And my only comment is that they said that traffic wasn't a problem and that it ebbs and flows, but you know, my grandma lives over there. I was there on Sunday afternoon, just yesterday. It was a disaster. It was going down College Drive. There were people just whipping in and out already off those roads. That's why I asked. So I guess my concern is definitely the traffic on College and where that's going to go, how they're going to handle that in that particular area.
Okay, and it sounds to me like, would you please address the question about traffic studies, what's going to happen off-site as a result of this increase in demand?
Mr. Chair, through you, I think one of the things that is kind of comes into play in this particular question is two parts. One is you have two major arterial roads to the north of us and to the south of us. They are designed to move traffic. I can tell you that the speed limit up to Triumph on the south of College from the elementary or Walterside, actually from South Greeley all the way to Grand Harmony Boulevard is 30 miles an hour. I can also tell you that people do not obey the traffic law, a speed limit in that area. The traffic speed increases from Grand Harmony Boulevard up to York to 40 miles an hour. That's one of the reasons there will be a deceleration lane being put in as part of the MOU that was previously done on the Harmony Valley fifth filing. Secondly, as soon as you get to midway between York and LC Jean, the speed limit increases to 50 mile an hour through that stretch. So whether Sheriff's Department or Highway Patrol wants to go out and slow down traffic, that's outside of our parameters. The traffic study that has been submitted does show that the access off that to get people inside the neighborhood to those two major roadways is more than adequate for the design of how this was laid out as we've gone through the process. There is no other accesses as well, except for the York going all the way up to Cribben, which will dump you in on the high side on the far west. So we are taking care of the critical design to get traffic moving through the area. We are not pushing traffic through Harmony Meadows, but there is an option for people should they choose to do that. And it's just like anybody going through any subdivision. Somebody can go through Harmony Meadows, come down around on the bottom side and get to Center One and wrap around on the bottom side, which is the access to the elementary on the backside and the apartments there. So we've taken pretty good caution to make sure which roads we want to push through and which ones we can't, to slow down the traffic to the best of our ability. But Grand Harmony is designed to move traffic between the two collectors at that point, or minor arterials.
Okay. And speaking of traffic, I guess predictably, I want to ask a little bit about pedestrian traffic. You mentioned how South High School is completely fenced. We can see on the map that there's a footpath that would appear to go through that fence.
Mr. Chair, through you, I will address that. You can easily go out and look. That fence carries along the south side of the school as it starts to run up the east side. Once it gets to the parking lot of South High, the fence cuts back towards the school at that point. So that is their own security fence. The other question you might raise, and it's easily addressed as well, is Triumph just started with Alco because of the board gave them funding to go ahead and fence that completely off. So the idea that people crisscross through these schools is no longer the capability, and there is no gates on the South High School side that get you in except for near the tennis courts that allows for Laramie County School District's one's vehicles to get in and do maintenance on the top side.
I'd just like to, and did we have, well, I guess we'll ask staff about communications with the school district. Personally, I like the idea of pedestrian access from a neighborhood to the adjacent school. Was there ever any conversation or contemplation of the plat to provide for a way to get to the point where, where the edge of that security fence is to accommodate that traffic? Or
so, Mr. Chair, through you, if I may, I can understand and respect the idea that you're trying to get access closer and more diagonal to the school. We're installing the Greenway pathway along College or Grand Harmony along the whole west side of this to go up. And then you have the same Greenway pathway running along York to go up to Cribben, which is the 2 points of where you really want individuals to go through versus just climbing up a hill and going through up that angle. So we have lessened the angle, but prior to working with the school district, you would have had a 12 to 16 foot wall on the bottom side of our property. We've eliminated that capabilities by working with the school district to get the slope down. To further address it, I can ask this, how many accesses should we be granting to get to that point? But also we're giving the Greenway pathway and all the sidewalks to get there. So we're just trying to, as you can see, they've been trespassing for years. So we have to be very cautious when we're out running equipment, even though we sit out there, we park vehicles at times to tell them to please go around. They could walk around on Allison on the Greenway pathway up there on the south side of Allison, all the way around the corner and come down Walterside and get back into Harmony Meadows. So from a standpoint of making sure there's access, I think we've over provided access other than a straight going to the fence that doesn't allow you to get into the back of South High.
Okay, any other questions from the commission? Commissioner Laird.
Mr. Chair, through you, I have a couple questions. So one is follow up on the road system. What's the functional classification of Grand Harmony and York? Are they local roads or collectors?
Mr. Chair, through you, I am going to tell you, I believe those are local streets going through at that point to get to the two major roadways.
This might be a better question when staff's turn, but have you heard if the city, I mean, obviously I'm hearing from Commissioner Connor about problems with access or congestion getting from these areas into college. Have they looked at, I'm sure they're looking at signals either there or perhaps up at Parsley. Have you heard this?
Mr. Chair, if I can, through you on that particular one instead of Connor. YDOT has full intentions of expanding College Drive through that area. We've actually, in the Harmony Valley first filing, had strips of land that we platted so that when and if they choose to widen College through that area, that they have the land to do that. We are not clear on that timeline, but as everything keeps developing south, especially south of College Drive at this point, I do see that moving up in the forecast for YDOT to actually expand the road.
Mr. Chair, the other unrelated question, again, back to pedestrians and the Melody Loop thing, I guess I need to clarify. I understand the grade is steep, so it would be perhaps impossible or not feasible to make a proper path connection that meets ADA standards. And then the applicant mentioned the existing trail is trespassing, if you will. Is it possible to to just plat an easement across there without constructing anything? So at least the trail probably would continue to be used, but not be a trespass?
Mr. Chair, through you, I guess I'm confused. Are you asking for us to put another access up to south from difference of Grand Harmony on one of the old trails that we plan on potentially putting lots on as we move forward? Because if we have to put an easement in, at that point, you have a situation where we cannot vacate an easement until you go ahead and replat. And personally, having an easement just for pedestrian access to get across puts us in a liability situation for them to trespass on our land. So I don't know that I would feel comfortable saying that now I'm granting an access easement that I can be sued for because of pedestrian access once we go ahead and we get Grand Harmony up and York up. I'm a little confused by that.
Yeah, I wasn't necessarily even thinking about access to South High School, just kind of some interconnectivity for pedestrians who might be, say, walking through those neighborhoods, exercising, walking their dogs, doing things like that. Just make another connection between one fairly big subdivision to another. I'm familiar. I live kind of in the northeast part of town near Mustang Ridge, and there's an easement there that I actually walk across with my dog. From a Mustang Ridge Street, kind of between two lots that connects into a gravel road called Tranquility by the water tanks. And I don't know, but it seems like a similar situation. There's just a footpath across the grass. But if you look at the plat, there's an easement across there.
Mr. Chair, through you, if I can. So we are trying our best at Melody Loop. That is the only connection that those residents have a capability of coming across. There is no other access points because of property ownership at that point. We met with city engineer Tom Cobb a week ago or so on that. And the question really comes in is that when you look at that connection, whether or not that has to be ADA or not. If that is an ADA requirement, we are looking at a substantial zipper effect to carry the grade to get the 8% to get to a landing spot and so forth, plus retaining walls. It becomes a maintenance issue of who's responsible for the maintenance of what could be graffiti or damage to those walls. So we are trying to take a look at that point. We know that the kids do come all the way down to the apartment complex on the south side there because some are living there. Some cut through our Grand Harmony complex down to the south of us there instead of using the sidewalk. But we also watch the pattern as they come around the corner at Center One and go back into the subdivision. And then there are the ones that actually walk along Allison and come south on Waltershide. So we do see both. We see all those patterns on a daily basis.
Any other questions of the applicant? Will staff please read your report into the record?
Mayor, members of the Commission, Connor White, Planning and Development Department. So the application before you, it's for an expedited plat for roughly 49.56 acres of land. The plat does propose creating 196 lots. They do have 12 open space lots within this proposed subdivision. This proposed development is similar to Harmony Valley 5th filing, which is just to the west, and it would be developed in a cottage lot style per the UDC. So property on the future land use map, it is urban residential with a small portion being mixed use residential, I believe. And then the zoning for the property, the zone change to NR3 has been approved by the governing body. So the full property is actually zoned NR3. As I mentioned, the proposed plat does match what was originally or previously approved with Harmony Valley 5th. So it does continue green space, kind of open space trails, does have alleys. Again, this is going to be developed with cottage lots per the UDC, which requires reloaded access, and also having the front doors face open space on a majority of the lots. It does allow for front doors to face streets, but doesn't allow front loading, which is also something the NR3 doesn't allow, but the cottage lot section of code does also allow for reduced lot sizes. They are proposing to continue their open space network with trails, as well as additional kind of off-street parking areas throughout the neighborhood. This plat does link, as mentioned by the applicant, West Allison down to College using Grand Harmony Boulevard, and then does link over to York and the rest of Harmony Valley. The applicant did provide a drainage study, and that was reviewed, and the engineering department had no concerns. A transportation study was submitted and reviewed with Harmony Valley 5th filing, which did take into account this filing as well. So with this filing, a traffic impact letter was submitted, and there were no concerns with the original study and the traffic impact letter. All these lots do meet the cottage lot section of code. With cottage lots, there will be site plans required for the subdivision for the open space. When it came to the question about the school district made no comments on the plat. I don't know exactly what the school district would say, but even if we had a sidewalk that went directly to the property line, it doesn't mean the school district is going to have to provide any connection to that sidewalk. And it may not be a sidewalk that they want to have. As was mentioned, there is the city project to connect Cribben to York. I do actually have that slide. I did have it up earlier. So that is currently being engineered and worked on. And then a plat will probably be coming before Planning Commission in a couple months when that plat is ready to move forward. Based on meeting all the review criteria, staff does recommend approval with a condition and an exception. That exception is to block size. As was mentioned by the applicant, these are larger blocks, but they are broken up by green space. We have had this in the past where when you do cottage lot style development, the blocks tend to be a little bit bigger because you are required to have that green space. but it does break up the block because it runs directly through each block and makes a pedestrian connection. So staff does recommend that exception. And then the condition, as was mentioned, the applicant is working with the engineering department on the potential pedestrian connection to Melody Loop. So based on that, we do not have an easement currently on the plat because they don't know exactly what that connection is going to look like or even if it is feasible. So the condition that staff recommends is that a pedestrian access easement be provided connecting Melody Loop to Grand Harmony Boulevard. If after extensive engineering, the city engineer determines the pedestrian connection is not feasible, the director may waive or modify this condition. So that doesn't tie them up completely. It basically, if it does come down to where it just isn't feasible, it isn't going to work, then Director Bloom could waive that, basically that condition, so that doesn't tie up the plat completely with a condition that says you have to have that pedestrian easement. But the applicant is working on that and would provide it if access can be basically granted. So again, staff does recommend approval with the conditions and the exceptions. Well, condition and exception, and I am available for any questions.
Connor, what can we do to force the school district to show up and talk about preventing pedestrian access for students to schools?
Mr. Chair, I don't believe we can force the school district to do anything.
Okay, commissioners,
And
questions for staff?
Mr. Chair, I would like to add, they do have a review on these plats. On most projects, they have no comments.
I realize that.
Yes, Mr. Chair, through you, a couple of comments, but wanted just a general comment on that question about the school district. I know there's an exercise from time to time, because I think it took place this past year, where they look at the safe routes to schools plan, and there's city people involved, obviously the school district's involved. I think YDOT provides federal funding to help support that kind of planning. And I see a big map come out with bullets, and they've got little spot projects that are prioritized near many of the schools around the city. So I would say at least there's some opportunity in that, which isn't during the platting of a subdivision, but at least it's a kind of an ongoing operational review, perhaps to some people to get input. My little technical question here, maybe you can put that York to Cribben connection back up again. What's that cross street that it's tying into the east-west? Is that Pinto? Okay. That's what I wondered. Thank you.
Any other questions of staff from the commission?
Chair, through you, Aaron Gates, City Staff Engineer. Yes, the connection to the west is Pinto, north is Cribben. And if you see, there's actually a sidewalk that goes down behind some of those existing residences and ties down in, and I'm not sure what the further cul-de-sac is, but that connection will be made there. Just so you know, these are about 90% plans. So they're not finalized. And the reason they're not final is due to a deed that needs to be transferred and some work like that. So part of this is the cleanup of the survey. There's a number of easements that need to be extinguished and cleaned up in this area. You can see there is a 10-foot greenway on the north side of York here that will provide that connection up toward Cribben. So bigger picture for the entire neighborhood in this entire area. And as mentioned previously, this is programmed for 2028, but that may be pushed due to other priorities with city engineering staff. And then there was a question previously about the classification of York and Grand Harmony. They are currently minor collectors as well as Pinto and Cribben. And so the other streets then would be local streets.
Thank you. Are there any comments or questions from our commissioners attending via Zoom? Hearing none. Any other questions from Commissioner here? Commissioner here? With that, oh, Commissioner Laird.
Well, I've thought of one more or another follow-up that I started to ask the developer about, but again, back to the issue of traffic on College, which may not be as directly related to this because I think they've covered what they have to do is from a development standpoint, but I think there was a corridor study several years ago on Parsley, and I assume they talked about basically the road network and Parsley and College, and there's an existing signal at Walterscheid. So I guess I wondered, is there any discussion yet about other operational improvements as this residential area continues to add a lot of traffic into the system?
And Chair, through you to members of the Planning Commission. The Wyoming Department of Transportation recently did their own corridor study for the College Drive corridor, essentially from I-25 all the way to Interstate 80. That one was done through YDOT, not through our MPO, and they had an engagement process. And on that, they had identified a new cross section. They looked at traffic projections, and I believe what was identified through that area was that the immediate need and the need in the foreseeable future for that roadway was what you see today, essentially a 3-lane section, center turn lane, and the two travel lanes. I will see if we can get that document pulled over to us so we can get that out to you. But it didn't warrant any additional right of way or changes. There's a plan in the future to widen that road, but it is way down the DOT's plan out there. Regarding other corridor plans in the area, we are seeing a lot of activity sort of just discussed in the south. One of the items we have is Parsley Boulevard, which is presently to the west of this development, where we've had one plan in the past that had it going due south through an electrical substation. There's another plan where it kind of meanders a little bit to the west and parallels Interstate 25. It's come to our attention lately that electrical substation will be relocated, so it does change the way that roadway could be developed in the future. Right now, the metropolitan organization is working with the city and county. That's what they do. They're doing a long-range transportation study with a consultant to evaluate potential alignments for Parsley in that area, which will help hopefully provide some alternative access in the surrounding area. That plan is not expected to be complete for at least 12 months, is my understanding. Could be a little bit longer. And that plan is exactly what it is. It's a plan. It's a feasibility study. Any changes to the roadway network based on that would have to go through a formal comprehensive plan and a major street plan process. I do understand that the city and mostly the county are working on carrying out the promises from the last sixpenny election for the construction of the division of Wallach, which would extend Walterscheid south to Wallach towards a new school in that direction. With that roadway development that would work on changing, again, the habits of traffic in the area. This area, definitely there's a lot of changes in traffic, a lot of unpredictable items that are coming through, but something that I know that our engineers, our MPO and the DOT are paying definite attention to. I hope that answered your question.
I've got one more question, I guess, to staff, kind of stemming on the issue that I brought up with the school district. And I don't think it necessarily affects how we handle this proposed plat, even though I personally think what we're doing with pedestrians here violates, especially the notion of accessing things, students accessing the school by foot, violates everything I understand to be appropriate planning in an urban context where pedestrianism and pedestrian access and mobility needs to be enhanced, not cut off and try to get people to walk the long way around. Is there anything we can do as we're looking at maybe updating UDC or the next round of UDC updates that could strengthen language to try to better protect and enhance direct pedestrian access, not only in this situation, but around the city?
Chair, members of the Planning Commission, Charles Bloom, Planning and Development Director. Great topic to bring up with our schools. We've had a lot of these built in the area in recent years, including South High School, Coyote Ridge, Meadowlark. One of the constant challenges that we run into when it comes to school funding, which is divvied out by the state, is that they are, number one, only receiving money to fund school construction and the minimum necessary for people to get to the school at the present time. So they are never given funding for future thought of how people will get there in the future when the neighborhood develops to the south. For example, in this area, if you go up York Street, there's the roadway. I believe is that not Allison, the connector between Pinto and Allison, that is Cribben. Cribben is not developed because there was no funding that was put in place for that roadway. We have a similar issue on Carlson at Coyote Ridge, where there's a several 100-foot gap that was not developed because of that. That will ultimately fall on the city to develop that. Same thing goes with pedestrian connections. So in this specific case, that would have been a pedestrian connection to nowhere, and it wouldn't qualify for major maintenance dollars for the school district. There is an opportunity for you all to speak on this, to talk about this, to get involved on May 19th in Casper, Wyoming, and you can attend via Zoom. The Select Committee on School Facilities will be studying infrastructure requirements for new school facilities as part of their interim committee studies. That is one that WAM, the Wyoming Association of Municipalities, is very active in, that we've been doing a lot of research on to try to prevent these scenarios from happening, where we have these poorly connected schools that only serve the immediate and present time instead of serving what they will develop to be in the future. So long story short, yes, you have an opportunity to get involved. WAM, our municipal lobbying group, they will be involved. But you all are welcome to, as Planning Commission members, members of the public, on May 19th, you can attend virtually in Casper on that.
Okay, thank you. With that, I'll open this item up for public comment. Is there any member of the public here that wants to comment on this item? Is there any member of the public that is attending via Zoom that wishes to comment on this? Public comment going once, going twice. Public comment is now closed. I'm looking for a motion from the commission.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the Harmony Valley 23rd filing preliminary plat, advancing the final plat to the governing body with staff recommended conditions and exceptions.
Second.
Okay, thank you. You beat me to it. It's been moved and seconded. Discussion among the commission, comments, proposed amendments.
Mr. Chair, through you, I'm in support of the motion, and I think I appreciate what this developer has done and changing to respond to the market for these smaller, more affordable housing, more attainable, affordable housing, which is a big problem in our city and in our state. And I think these recent subdivisions in this area help meet that need.
Any other comments? I'd like to echo what Commissioner Laird said. I don't get to have a vote on this. I am pleased as punch with the product and the pivot that's occurred. But just to follow up on my previous comment and just the nature of what the market that this is seeking to meet, it even further concerns me that we appear to be powerless to try to provide a way for people who live in this area to get to the school. And that I'm envisioning families with kids attending the schools in the area just because of kind of what the product is. And it strikes me as being a market that would be more in need of allowing kids to get places by foot and not needing an extra vehicle and the expense associated with that and the traffic generated with that. There's been some discussion of what is it going to do in traffic volumes? Well, in my mind, preventing anything other than a long, circuitous pedestrian route to get to the destinations that I expect people try to get and will try to get to just compounds whatever additional traffic volume and congestion that's going to flow from this. So I think we're working at cross purposes with the pedestrian issue. It frankly, it disgusts me. But I thank the developer for thank the developer for working to meet our previous requests for connectivity, for traffic and automobiles, and willing to work with trying to make a connection to the development of these. Without any other further comments or questions, will staff please call roll?
Tony Laird,
Aye.
Amy Hernandez,
Aye.
Bob Mathia,
Aye.
Justin Tripp,
Aye.
Megan Connor,
Aye.
Daryl Hibbins.
Aye.
Mr. Chair, the motion passes.
Okay, thank you. And with that, will staff please read item D into the record?
Item D, PUDC 26-52, Polo Properties Expedited Plat.
Okay, thank you. Do I have an applicant ready to present?
Mr. Chair, through you, John Sayers, agent for True Grit Development and CAE Investments. I'd like to touch on one thing in regards to the schools, just outside. Working with the school districts on a lot of the projects that we have worked on, what you're not familiar with is they are literally locking down the sites with the fencing, and there are sites where they do not want them to have bystanders standing out in certain areas for kids to come by. I dealt with that over in Saddle Ridge on the next elementary school over there. And when we were working on pathways, I know it's irrelevant to this, but I just wanted to touch on it. It is difficult to figure out how they want that controlled and to limit where people are coming in on their property. So I can respect what you've asked for. I truly can. But I know that my kids lived in Monterey Heights and went to Hobbs and they crossed Story. So I get it. And they walked every day. So, all right, back to the meeting at hand. This is a apartment complex that we went in and asked for a conditional use to go ahead and do multifamily housing directly across from Sun Valley School. There is already a pedestrian pathway to get you across right there. So we have that already figured out. With that said, we have 8 lots for 8 individual ownerships of fourplexes, with a 9th lot being the common and open space maintenance issue. This is a similar product that the Bison Properties you just approved over on Grand Harmony, where each individual owner has a 1 1/8 interest in lot 9 that takes care of the landscaping, the parking lot, and all the maintenance issues at that point. We did gain conditional use approval previously. We have submitted a site plan already that is going through the process and moving forward with this plat. Plat allows us to go ahead and find financing for individuals that are coming in and buying 1 or 2 of the actual buildings, not individual units. And therefore the maintenance is taken care of through their own HOA at that point. Happy to address any questions you have.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the commission? Any questions from commissioners on Zoom? Hearing none, staff, please read your report into the record.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, Morgan Dennis, Planning and Development. This is an expedited plat for 1.42 acres of land located south of East 12th Street, east of Crest Park Drive.
Hold on. Are you able to pick this up? Because we're not hearing on speakers. Okay.
Just sounds very different in here.
Hello?
There
There
we
we go. Okay. Do I need to like completely start over or? Okay, okay. The lot is currently vacant. The purpose of this plat is to vacate 10 lots in the cul-de-sac and create the common lot and individual lots for the buildings. He already hit a lot of what I was going to say. Parcel is currently undergoing a site plan process with our department. Future land use map designates this area as urban residential. Zoning is MR. Multi-buildings are conditional use. He got that in August of 2025. All the lot types are allowed in the MR zone. After meeting all review criteria, staff recommends approval, and I stand for questions.
Okay, thank you. Any questions of staff from the commission? Anything from the commissioners attending via Zoom? Hearing none, I will open this item up for public comment. Is there anybody from the public on Zoom that wishes to speak on this? Going once, going twice, and for the record, there is nobody from the public in the meeting. Public comment is closed. I am looking for a motion from the commission. Commissioner Hibben.
Yes, sir. I move to approve the Polo Properties preliminary plat, advancing the final plat to the governing body.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a second?
I will second that motion.
Okay, it's been seconded by Commissioner Tripp. Comments, questions, discussion, amendments from the commission? Anything from the commissioners on Zoom? Hearing none, will staff please call roll?
Amy Hernandez,
Aye.
Bob Mathia,
Aye.
Daryl Hibbins,
Aye.
Justin Tripp,
Aye.
Megan Connor,
Aye.
Tony Laird.
Aye.
Mr. Chair, the motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Will staff please read item E into the record?
Item E, PUDC 26-57, Darnell Home Sites, second filing, expedited plat.
Thank you. Do we have an applicant who wishes to present?
And Mr. Chair, our applicant is online. I have granted them permission to speak.
Okay, well, thank you. Applicant, would
Good
you
evening,
please
Chair, members of the
present?
Planning Commission. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Doing an audio check. Okay, great. Good evening, Brandon Swain, 3201 Cheyenne Street, agent for the applicant. I'd like to apologize that I'm not there in person. I'm currently out of the country. It's 2:08 a.m. right now, but I already had this travel booked before we submitted the project. So if I can, I'll be brief. The original site is one existing dwelling. The property is addressed off 4320 Ridge Road. The site is generous in size. It has what we would call dual frontage. So the current house fronts Ridge Road, meets appropriate setbacks. However, there's an abundance of extra lot area immediately west of this property that fronts Darnell. And we're essentially proposing generating a total of 5 lots. 1 lot will remain with the existing dwelling and generating 4 new lots that will front Darnell. Pretty cut and dry. BOPU has asked us to provide an easement in case the existing property at 4320 Ridge, which is currently on septic, if that fails, the most reasonable way to extend those utilities, both water and sewer, would be to Darnell. I have spoke with Bopu. The easement that we have in place, essentially splitting the lots north and south, right in the middle, is sufficient. I haven't had much controversy on this project. That being said, I stand for any questions.
Okay, thank you. For the record, Commissioner Tripp has exited the meeting. Are there any questions of the applicant from the commission? Commissioner Laird.
Mr. Chair, through you, and maybe this is for the city too, but I'm just curious, because Darnell is currently a gravel road. Is that got to be upgraded, paved, sidewalk, curb and gutter, any of that done as part of this project?
So if I may, I'll comment, but I did hear city engineer Erin Gates in the office, so she can absolutely correct me if I'm wrong. But we held a meeting specific to this project before I left town, because I think it's important not only for members of the Planning Commission, but my clients as well, to understand what those expectations are. Where we landed is the road as it's currently constructed is too narrow. However, the sufficient right-of-way is in place, and we've been asked to widen the road through appropriate standards. Essentially, that would mean that we're going to improve that road and encroach it a little bit further on the property to the east. And then we're going to install curb and gutter and sidewalk along the east side of the property. Along the frontage of the lots on Darnell Place, there is an existing dwelling that's sitting on the west end of Darnell. But how they're currently parking, we don't anticipate any participation from them on improving any of the public infrastructure. If we install curb, gutter, and sidewalk and widen the road, we're going to have an issue as that road abuts the current alley approaches that are just to the north. There's ones on each side of Darnell. The city has stated that they would likely cooperate with us. So as we're widening the road, installing sidewalk, curb, and gutter, the whole point of all that is to help facilitate and offset drainage. And currently the valley pan and the alley and how that's constructed isn't conducive to that. So it's going to be a joint venture with the expectation of the clients or whoever develops the property to, again, take on the cost of widening the gravel road, installing curb, gutter, and sidewalk on their property, with some participation with the city on improving those alley approaches to the north.
Any further questions of the applicant? Was that a sufficient explanation? Okay. With that, will staff please read the report into the record?
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, Morgan Dennis, Planning and Development. This is an expedited plat for 1.02 acres of land located at 4320 Ridge Road. This lot currently has a residential structure on half the parcel and vacant for the rest. The purpose of this plat is to subdivide one lot into 5 lots for residential use. The future land use map designates this area as mixed-use residential. The zoning for this parcel is MR, medium density residential. The lots facing Darnell Place are 0.6 feet short of the standard for the DD7 lot type. This is 1.5%. This is 1.5% of the required 40-foot of frontage that is needed. This frontage is smaller when compared to the frontage of lots in the immediate area. However, the overall lot area is similar to other lots. The remaining lot faces Ridge Road, would be considered DD5 in the MR zone. There is a condition attached to this plat. The Board of Public Utilities is asking for a wider utility easement. The applicant did mention that Bopu has said that it's okay. I have not heard that from Bopu. Due to the fact that they require a 10 feet of separation between the water and sewer line in the easement. After meeting all review criteria, staff recommends approval with conditions. and I stand for questions.
Okay, thank you. And I guess for the record, I should probably note that Commissioner Tripp rejoined the meeting during the applicant's presentation. Are there any questions for staff from the commission? Commissioner Laird.
Mr. Chair, through you, does that, the existing buildings on the east half of the lot or the east portion meet, what with the proposed subdivision of the lots meet setbacks and other requirements for that lot type?
Mr. Chair, through you, yes, it does currently.
And to follow up, and will they continue to meet setback requirements following the proposed plat?
Mr. Chair, through you, yes, they will. And for the record, this is a burnt out building. No one's using it right now. So we'll probably
Okay.
see a site plan come through for it, possibly, if
Okay.
it doesn't go back to residential.
So I can picture exactly which building we're talking about here. I drive by this building multiple times daily. Okay. And did I've got a question. Did I hear correctly that there's a request to forego sidewalk access as part of the street widening? Did I pick up on that correctly? Okay. And then finally, if we don't have BOPU telling us or reporting that the proposal is acceptable, what do we need to do in order to make sure that we get that in writing?
Mr. Chair, Connor White, Planning and Development Department. Right now, staff is proposing that condition. If you just move forward with the condition that staff recommends, if we get through or when we get to council, either the condition continues through council or BOPU can provide us something in writing that says it's satisfactory, and then we have something, but having that condition would probably be the best route forward.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, comments? Okay, with that, I'll open this up for public comment. Is there any member of the public via Zoom that wants to comment?
Mr. Chair, Brandon does have his hand raised again.
Well, I believe that we'll give the applicant an opportunity to respond to public comment. Okay, public comment going once, public comment going twice. Public comment is now closed. Okay, Commissioner, not Commissioner, Director Bloom, you look like you want to say something before we let the applicant respond to questions.
The chair, members of Planning Commission, Brandon had forwarded me some information. It looks like he has had some discussions with Board of Public Utilities that may have just not included us to fully loop us in on the discussion regarding the utility. So it looks like there have been discussions about maintaining a 10-foot easement and ensuring that they meet the separation requirements between water and sewer lines, which is 5 feet, and that's an environmental quality rule. So it appears that there has been some discussions, but we need to make sure that we work on our communication processes internally. There's more transition occurring at Board of Public Utilities right now, so we'll have to train the next new person that comes in.
Okay. Thank you. And I guess at this point, for the applicant, there wasn't any comments from public to respond to, I don't think. So unless somebody has informational questions for applicant, I'm looking for a motion from the commission.
Mr. Chair, just a question, follow up on Director Bloom's comment. So are you suggesting now we not include the condition that's been discussed before about the water and sewer easement in our motion?
Chair, members of the Planning Commission, it wouldn't hurt to leave that in there. It'll be one that we'll just mark as satisfied if it is. We'll have to have further discussion, but I just keep it in there for now.
Okay. Looking for a motion, I believe.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the Darnell home site second filing preliminary plat, advancing the final plat to the governing body with conditions. Number one, water and sewer service line easement need to meet Board of Public Utilities request for a wider easement.
Okay, it's been moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Second and third. Okay, we now have a motion before the commission. Any discussion? Any clarification, questions, amendments? Thoughts? Seeing none, will staff please call roll?
Daryl Hibbins,
Aye.
Tony Laird,
Aye.
Justin Tripp,
Aye.
Bob Mathia,
Aye.
Amy Hernandez,
Aye.
Megan Connor.
Aye.
Mr. Chair, the motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Will staff please read item F into the record?
Item F, PUDC 26-88, Jail Ranch zoning map amendment.
Okay, will the applicant please present your proposal?
And Mr. Chair, our applicant is online again because it is Mr. Swain.
Mr. Swain?
Good evening, Chair, members of the Planning Commission, Brandon Swain, 3201 Cheyenne Street. We do have, I believe, a new member on the Planning Commission, so I think it's important to gain some context of what we're requesting here. A zone change seems fairly aggressive, but I think when I'm done explaining the nature of why we arrived at this, it'll make sense. So this project is located in JL Ranch. Pretty neat development there. That's just east of town, just south of Interstate 80. Subdivision started likely 15 years ago or so, got built out about halfway. I'm not sure what happened. Perhaps it was a change in the market or what have you. But about half of the subdivision remains undeveloped. It's currently platted, but the subdivision isn't fully built out. At the time it was established, it was formed as what's called a planned unit development. To oversimplify it, sometimes developers will propose a product that doesn't quite meet expectations of what the UDC will allow. However, at that time, a planned unit development was available, which allows the developer to propose some things that exceed standards and able to receive relief on other standards. And they call it a planned unit development because the city will hold the developer to that agreement in perpetuity. What's now changed in between then and now is the cost of housing and building has gone up significantly. The Board of Public Utilities, perhaps 3 or 4 years ago, offers a smaller water meter size. So if you have a dwelling, it's a modest size home, only 2 bathrooms. Oftentimes this smaller water meter is a fantastic fit because you still get adequate water pressure. BOPU will perform those calculations in-house to make sure that everything is going to function properly. The exchange, though, and BOPU's expectation is that you have 250 square feet of turf or less. So someone has a heart posture towards affordable housing. They are now purchasing the remainder of the lots. They're doing everything they can to try and help make these products affordable. And I very much understand that because this is something that I do with my own developments. I've used that smaller water meter probably a dozen times by now. And just to give you context, it's about a $4,500 savings per unit that we can then pass on to the homeowner. However, again, I'll reiterate, BOPU's expectation is 250 square feet of turf or less. How the PUD, acronym for Planned Unit Development, how the PUD was formed stated that the yards are going to be fully sodded and irrigated in the front. So basically we have a conflict between the two policies, and as a matter of procedure with the Planning and Development Department, which I completely understand, they're going to hold the current developer to those PUD standards. We decided collectively that the best way to remove the product out of that would be to rezone to NR2. That way all the future dwellings to be constructed are in compliance. It's then going to allow the applicant to have discretion on how they want to landscape the front, whether it be fully sodded or xeriscape. And we say xeriscape, I don't mean xeroscape. Xeriscape meaning natural plants, and they'll still have a tree. They just won't have this artificial, excuse me, not artificial, but an unnecessary amount of turf up front. So kind of an aggressive action to be able to simply just reduce the turf or have discretion in doing so. However, this was set by the original developer, and the city is just in holding us to the current PUD. Anytime you amend zoning, you have to mail letters to property owners within 300 feet. As we nearly rezoning half the subdivision, I mailed quite a bit of letters. To my knowledge, I haven't received any adverse calls. Perhaps staff may, I'm not sure. But again, this is not changing the nature of what the current neighborhood is. It's simply just allowing us to adjust the landscaping in a way that can meet the Board of Public Utilities standards, in a way that can afford us the opportunity to offer these units to the homeowners at nearly $4,000 to $5,000 less. That being said, I stand for any questions.
Okay, thank you. Commission, any questions for the applicant? Anything from commissioners on Zoom? I do have a quick question. In addition to the change in the landscaping standards for turf, by virtue of rezoning out of the PUD, are there any other landscaping changes or any other landscaping relief that this rezoning is going to accomplish?
To my knowledge, no. Because these are single family dwellings, I think once you get into a project that necessitates a site plan, which I believe to be a building that has 3 or more attached dwelling units in it, or excuse me, 3 or more living units in it, or some type of commercial property. But I believe through the UDC, the enforcement and expectation is going to be the same on these as they would any other property, whether it be planning and development or the city forester. The turf is really a self-inflicted expectation that was set long ago when the development was first proposed through that PUD. I don't know that it's ever been a city requirement to have a certain amount of turf in front. Anyhow, I hope that answers the question.
Okay, thank you. Will staff please read your report into the record?
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, Morgan Dennis, Planning and Development. This is a zone change for about 6.77 acres, or I believe it's 58 parcels, located southwest of HR Ranch Road and Judy Lee Drive, and 1 parcel southeast of HR Ranch Road and Judy Lee Drive. Most of this land is currently vacant. The future land use map designates this area as mixed-use residential. This designation primarily supports high-density residential development with a secondary focus on commercial uses that be supportive of the neighborhood. Surrounding zone, the zone itself is obviously JL Ranch PUD. The surrounding zones are CB, LI, and HI, zones that are supportive of commercial and industrial uses, isolating NR2 to this area. So the zone change, with the zone change, it'd be isolating NR2 to this area. The JL Ranch PUD was adopted in 2006 and amended in 2008 prior to the adoption of the UDC. Aspects of the PUD are very similar to the NR2 zone district, resulting in minimal impact on the existing surrounding properties. The depth of the existing lots would require the applicants to seek an administrative adjustment for rear setbacks. Staff has heard from the public regarding this zone change. One caller was fine with the zone change, and another caller would have preferred if the parcels remain in the JL Ranch PUD. After meeting all review criteria, staff recommends approval, and I stand for questions.
Any questions of staff from the commission? Commissioner Laird.
Mr. Chair, through you, maybe I missed it in the comments, but why is that lot 24 on the east side and then lot 10 up there, the northeast corner, excluded from the change? Is there a particular reason?
Mr. Chair, through you, Connor White, Planning and Development Department. So lot 24 is currently under different ownership. So I believe that lot's already been sold. So can't really include that in the zone change from the applicant because they don't own the lot. They'd have to get basically that lot owner to agree to that. And then lot 10 up in the corner, lot 10 and actually 9 are city owned. It's a small little kind of park area up there that the city owns. So that's why those are not included. And actually lot 9 and 10 is developed with the park. So it's a small park that is developed out there. But that's the reason those aren't included. They're not under ownership of the applicant who is requesting.
Mr. Chair, through you, it does look kind of funny if you go out there and see this park playground clear up there in the corner, way away from where anybody lives. And it's the other thing that didn't come up, I think, in the discussion, but is in the report, is this discussion about the 4-foot fence requirement. And from my days in the Board of Adjustment, we had quite a contentious variance issue on one of those lots. It's already developed because the owner changed some fences to more than 4 foot.
Okay. Any other questions of staff? I've got a question as we're evaluating this, even though there's a nice break there at Judy Lee Drive. Other than the landscaping issue, and then I believe there's mentioned that there's not adequate room for a rear setback under the NR2 zone for these lots. Would the other dwellings that have already been developed in this project generally fit the proposed zoning?
Mr. Chair, through you, yes. So this whole neighborhood, for the most part, except for the ones that don't have alley access, everything is alley loaded. There's no front loading. Again, there are some select parcels that have to be front loaded. As you can see, even the ones that they're proposing to rezone, lots 1, 2, 3, and 4 on the very south of Alex Ranch will probably need some administrative relief to front loading because there is no alley. So there are some lots within the neighborhood that have to be front loaded because there is no alley access, but generally I would say that this whole neighborhood could be NR2.
And secondly, did I correctly understand though that with the rezoning, every time somebody wants to build a house in one of these existing lots, they're going to have to get relief from the setback requirement under the zone we're about to.
Mr. Chair, through you. So what we would probably look at as staff is doing just a blanket administrative adjustment to all the lots for rear setback to allow them to develop similar to what exists. Staff understands that these are pre-existing lots and understands why the applicant is requesting this change. Staff does prefer this change than the current PUD. But we could do a blanket administrative adjustment for all rear setbacks. So it's not every time a building permit comes in, they have to tack on the administrative adjustment.
And to clarify, that doesn't need to come before the Planning Commission?
Mr. Chair, no, it does not. This is something that staff we've done it with plats. We bring it up at Planning Commission and at council that this is something that would need to come back to staff for administrative review for the rear setback portion or some setback reduction based on the project. And we bring that up front as long as Planning Commission and council are good with that as the project moves forward, then we kind of take the approvals as you're okay with staff also kind of doing the administrative approval.
Okay, thank you. I guess we heard about from the public. I will open this up for public comment. Are there any members of the public that wish to address this before the commission? Public comment going once, going twice. Public comment is now closed, recognizing that 2 comments were read into the record earlier. I am now looking for a motion from the commission. Commissioner Hibben.
Yes. I move to approve the rezoning of lots 1-23, 11-15, block 5, lots 1-23, 25-32, block 6, lots 1-4, block 7, JL Ranch, and lot 34, block JL Ranch 5 or V, to from GL Ranch PUD to NR2 neighborhood residential medium density as shown in the attached zone change map, noting that the project meets the review criteria for approval.
Okay, thank you. Before we get a second, can we understand that anytime you referred to like lot 1-23, that you were referring to lots 1 through 23? Or is that your intent?
Yes, that's my intent.
Okay. So with that clarification, do we have a second? Commissioner Laird?
Mr. Chair, before a second, I'm thinking there's got to be a number missing in there. You see where it says on the second line, lot 34, and then it just says block. It seems to me like there must be a block number that's not in the motion.
Mr. Chair, through you. Yeah, it's supposed to be block 2. Lot 34, block 2. JL Ranch V.
I think I need a second before I can ask for an amendment, unless the mover would like to restate his motion. Yes. Would you like to try again? Yes. Would you like to? I believe that this is referring. Looking at the map, it looks to me like this refers to block 2, lot 34. And can I, before we get into trying to restate our motion to clarify it, there's a reference to JL Ranch V. Is there a particular reason for this?
Is you want?
Is that a typo, or is that
Nope,
something
Mr. Chair,
that's in the
through
record?
Mr. Chair, through you, that portion of JL Ranch was subdivided. They changed the lots. So that's just, instead of it being JL Ranch first filing, it's 5th filing. But I think they just called it JL Ranch V for 5. But
Okay.
it's however they name the plat.
Okay. Thank you. Please do. Go forth.
I move to approve the rezoning of lots 1 through 23, 11 through 15, block 5, lots 1 through 23, 25 through 32, block 6, lots 1 through 4, block 7, JL Ranch, and lot 34, block 2, JL Ranch V, 2 from JL Ranch PUD to NR2 neighborhood residential, medium density as shown in the attached zone change map, noting that project meets the review criteria for approval.
Okay. Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Thank you. Comments, questions, proposed amendments, discussion from the commission? Anything from the commissioners online? Hearing none. Will staff please call roll?
Justin Tripp,
Aye.
Daryl Hibbins,
Aye.
Amy Hernandez,
Aye.
Megan Connor,
Aye.
Tony Laird,
Aye.
Bob Mathia.
Aye.
Mr. Chair, that motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Other business or staff announcements?
And chair, members of the planning commission, first of all, just like to do a couple of introductions here for our new member, Justin Tripp. First, we'll start with staff real quick. I'm Charles Bloom, planning and development director. I've been here since fall of 2018. I think I hold the record for the longest consecutive planning and development director since like the late 1990s here for the city of Cheyenne. I don't know if that's just an award or just if it's just a bad thought on my end. With me here today, we have Connor White, and I'll let him introduce himself, and then I'll pull Erin to the stand since she looks comfortable.
So I'm Connor White. I'm a planner two with the Planning and Development Department. I've been with the city, be going on 7 years this October. Originally from Buffalo, New York, so East Coast. But I did get my master's at Utah State University. So I have been to the West. I do have family in Utah, so not unfamiliar with out here, but never actually lived or really been to Cheyenne until I moved here. So that was different, but yeah, been here going on 7. So
Hi, I'm Morgan Dennis. I'm the planner 1 department. I've been here since August of 2025. I'm originally from a small town in Oklahoma, called Morrison. Went to school at the University of Oklahoma. I do have family out here. I've been to Wyoming a number of times, and I'm really excited to be out here.
While Giselle's making her way up, I was in Laramie, Wyoming for 13 years prior to being out here. Moved to Cheyenne in 2005. Grew up in Eastern Washington and spent about a decade in the Boulder and Arvada area and a little bit of time in Arkansas. Proud Colorado Buffalo graduate.
I'm Giselle Pacheco, and I've lived in Cheyenne my whole life. I am the office manager for the planning and development as well as the MPO, and I pretty much keep everybody in line. So
Good afternoon. I'm Erin Gates. I'm a staff engineer in the engineering department. Spent 20 plus years on the consulting side and then joined the city just over 2 years ago.
Okay, thank you. Announcements?
Mr. Chair, we will have, well, sure you're aware with the postponement, we will have our mid-month, and as Director Bloom mentioned, we will have 2 text amendments. That one being the postponed one from tonight, and then carports. Carports was basically requested by a council member for us to bring that forward. The gist of it, just as a heads up, is looking at allowing them to be on front driveways, so in the front of your house. They currently aren't allowed.
Oh,
correct. They currently are not allowed. So anybody who has a carport in their front driveway, it's probably illegal. And a zoning violation. They are considered accessory buildings. They need to meet accessory building setbacks currently. Basically, this text amendment removes them from being considered accessory buildings and allows properties to have a carport. And it can be in your front, on the front driveway. This is something that staff gets questions and comments and calls about all the time. So if this is the community's desire to have carports on your front driveway, and it is council's and planning commission's desire to also allow them, then we can go forward with that and allow them. So that's the other text amendment. We do have the RFP out for Plan Cheyenne for the future land use, or basically our comprehensive plan update. So the RFP is out. So that's something where we'll be looking at getting a consultant and moving that process forward to get that whole plan updated, which you will eventually see because it does have to come before you. But that's probably a year out, I'm guessing, Charles, for that. So, but feel free to be involved when the consultants do start putting out either surveys or if there's public meetings, open houses, things like that, please feel free to be involved. You are community members. We're always going to be looking for input, especially with this project, because it is our guiding document for the growth and development of Cheyenne. Just as a reminder, June's Planning Commission. And please let me know ahead of time if you won't be here. It's going to be a very long agenda. Right now, I am anticipating anywhere of upwards of 12 items on that agenda. And we'll see how controversial some of them are. So that will be a long agenda. Expect a long night that evening. But please try to be here if you can be. If you can't, please just let me know. What else? I don't know if you have anything else.
Question about the Plan Cheyenne document. Is there any part of that that comes to us before essentially the final draft formally, or is it just if we go out and find activities in the city?
And Chair, members of the Planning Commission, great question. We really hope to keep you all involved in this as well. Right now, the RFP is out on the streets. We've had a lot of interest in people responding to this. A lot of interest, which is pretty exciting. We hope to have a contract executed by July 1st, and that's the to-go date. We will be doing interviews of consultants coming up in the near future. So if any of the Planning Commission members would like to be on that interview committee, that panel, we'd be more than happy to host you. You'd probably have to read about I'll say 6 or 7 RFPs that we'll probably weed out that are about the top. They're about 20 pages long to look at their approach. So if you're interested in that, feel free to drop either Connor or myself or any of our planning staff a line, and we'll get you in line for that. We don't exactly know what the consultants are proposing when it comes to public engagement. However, we have asked that they engage the Planning Commission on multiple levels. Number one, kind of at the early level, and also as it evolves. We'll also be creating a steering committee, but of course, we don't know what this looks like yet because we're going to wait for some advice from the consultants, but we'll have a steering committee that will help guide this as well. So long story short, there will be opportunities for involvement.
Can you please send out email to all the members of the Planning Commission that we can respond to if we have a desire to participate in the interview process?
Yes. And the one item we wanted to mention was just really quick, if you could just let the new member know who you are and who you represent. I think that'd be very valuable. And I'm sure if he did the exact same, that'd be good too.
Quickly, what do you mean by who we represent?
Or not who you represent, like your, sorry, I should say your background, your, what expertise you lend to the commission.
Well, I guess I'll start. I'm Boyd Wiggum. I grew up in Laramie County. I'm an attorney, solo attorney here in town. Before I took a walk on the dark side and went to law school, I was studying planning in graduate school. I'm still trying to figure out how I took that career detour. Commissioner Laird?
Yeah, my name's Tony Laird, and I'm a engineer, worked 34 years for YDOT. Ended up in Cheyenne in 1973. My dad was a career Air Force guy that ended his career here, and I was 12 years old, and I've lived in Wyoming ever since. Spent some time in Laramie, Rock Springs, and mostly Cheyenne.
I'm Bob Mathia, and I've had a degree in accounting, and nobody could read my numbers, so I got a degree in economics where it didn't matter so much. But I ended up in the Foreign Service where I spent about 35 years. And then I spent 10 years working as a downtown developer in the city of South Bend. And then I retired and came here because I have grandkids here.
Hi, buddy. My name's Daryl. I'm a retired lawman. I was in law enforcement for 35 years. And the last 4 years, as Richard continued, I did I think help Cheyenne police do crashes and write parking tickets was not fun compared to what I used to do. But anyway, I brought the wife here about 10 years ago after I retired on the West Coast, and she's now celebrated 10 years cancer free. So we're happy to be here.
Commissioner Connor. Megan. Is Amy still on? Amy.
Hello, I'm here. Amy Hernandez, born and raised in Cheyenne. I've been in the banking, mortgage, real estate industry for 20 plus years. Currently a title examiner at Flying S Title and Escrow. Very active in the community. I just finished a 6-year board position with the Cheyenne Depot Museum. Active with Zonta Club and Wyoming Independent Citizens Coalition. And have 3 kids, 3 grown kids. I have 2 grandbabies that should be coming before the end of the year. So excited about that.
And would you please introduce yourself?
Thank you for all the kind introductions there. My name is Justin Tripp. So I appreciate the mayor and the council putting me on the planning commission with you. I look forward to serving on this commission. My background, I born and raised in Michigan, enlisted in the U.S. Navy. So I spent several years there, stationed Pearl Harbor, San Diego, back to Detroit for 3 years, military recruiting. I've got my master's in human resource and also a bachelor's in business management. We've been in Cheyenne since 2017. So it was a fair compromise. My wife's from California. I'm from Michigan. So it's literally fair compromise, 1,200 miles to both parents' doorstep. So there you go. So great deal there. So we're raising a family here. We love this community. So I look forward to working with you guys on this. I also volunteer with the Veterans of Foreign Wars and my church Board of Education.
And where do you work?
So I do human resources for a living. I work at Meridian Trust Federal Credit Union as a human resource manager.
Okay. And with that, I'm looking for one more announcement. Tony.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, through you. I had another item. I'm not sure this is the appropriate time to bring it up, but I think we should address something maybe or consider changes about. I'm still troubled by this one particular vote and issue that came up at the last meeting. We were trying to change the land use map, and we decided, I think it's my recollection, that state statute said the majority of the commission had to vote in order to make that change. Our bylaws said the chairman doesn't vote except in the case of a tie. And then I gathered that maybe I don't know, maybe I've lost something here, but maybe that's the only type of work we do or the only type of recommendation we make that has to be approved by a majority of the board, not just a majority of the board members present or voting. But it bothers me a bit. And I think if it's a bylaw issue, I'd be curious, is it worthwhile to try to change those bylaws, maybe to let the chairman vote in the cases of changing that master plan, land use map type thing?
Mr. Chair, through you. So I actually have looked at the bylaws and have a draft, not specifically with that, with other changes to the bylaws, because I was also working on Board of Adjustments bylaws, which I still have yet to get changed, which desperately need to be changed. Those ones haven't been changed since like 1982, whereas at least Planning Commission, I think, were updated 2008, 2009-ish, which is, I think, around the time when the city county split. So we had to draft bylaws then. So staff could look at the bylaws. I do already have a draft because I would actually, one of the changes that I was looking at that would be more conforming with how all of our other boards, commissions, city council, everything works is staff goes through the item first and then the applicant, not the applicant before staff. Planning Commission is the only place I've seen that done. where the applicant actually goes before staff on items. So that was a change that I was looking at, and then just kind of updating things to reference how the commission is actually run today rather than 2008. So that is something that we could look at and talk to the city attorney to see how we can make that change. Maybe it is, if it's in the case of a land, the chair does get to vote whether there's a tie or not. Because it's state statute references a majority of the commission. It doesn't say the chair doesn't get to vote unless there's a tie. That's just the bylaws. So maybe we can have a section when it comes to plans where it follows state statute, with meaning the chair gets to vote on plans so that the chair doesn't have, we don't have to worry about a tie situation for the chair to vote. The chair can vote. So that is something I can look into, something that we could try to move forward. I don't know how quickly that can be. But that is, if planning commission is looking for staff to do that and wants to direct staff, then I'd say we could take a look at the bylaws and maybe get some bylaws updated, maybe sometime this year.
It would be good to eliminate a conflict.
Mr. Chair, I think I would agree, and I think our attorney or city attorneys would also agree, because having the discussions with them about how that vote went, they also had to look into it, and they did end up confirming that technically state statute does say you need a majority, but then yes, the bylaws are conflicting and say the chair doesn't get to vote. So you kind of have to use both in that case, but it does cause that issue. So it would be good to update the bylaws and remove that issue from future votes. So
Chair, members of the Planning Commission, final comment. There's a question during the meeting about the status of the roads and their levels in Harmony Valley. Grand Harmony, which is the street that goes past Triumph up the eastern side, that is a minor collector street. So it's designed to be a large thoroughfare that would have significant volumes of traffic. York, connecting to Cribben, is also a minor collector as well. So those are more than local streets.
Okay, with that, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn unless somebody else has something they want to say.
I make a motion.
It's been moved. Get a motion to adjourn, so we are adjourned.